We did it. We reviewed every single WrestleMania. All there's left to do is wait for next week for WrestleMania 41. I have to be very honest with this video because there was a lot of importance to WrestleMania 40. For starters, it was the first ever WrestleMania without Vince McMahon's involvement. You can tell that this was all Triple H's ideas. There was some stuff that didn't work necessarily as far as wrestling quality, but the build up to this show was phenomenal, top notch, even with all of the unfortunate mishaps like CM Punk's injuries, Brock Lesnar being let go, or I mean, that's what they claim, they let him go, given the unfortunate news about him and Vince that I don't want to talk about. There was just a lot that was going to change, but as fans, we knew what we wanted and we got what we wanted, especially when we got to the main events here. And because of it, because Triple H was managed to balance both giving us a little bit of what everybody wants, I would have to honestly say that this is my favorite WrestleMania of all time. I can't believe I'm saying this. Last year's WrestleMania was my favorite, and I just loved it top to bottom. Even the worst match, which I'll get to in this review, there's nothing really to get mad about because everything in this show was great. Everything about this show really set the grounds for what the new era of WWE was gonna look like. Even from the presentation, this is when we started getting different camera shots, backstage segments, during entrances. There was just like a whole different vibe and feel to it, and I just loved it. The commentary was top notch. I didn't even talk about Michael Cole's commentary. Last year he did an amazing job. Obviously I was there live so I didn't hear it, but rewatching it I loved it. The 1D, no one kicks out of the 1D. And then when Michael Cole goes, finish the story at the end was beautiful. And I'm I can't help it. This is hands down my favorite WrestleMania of all time. So let's just begin talking about it. Coco Jones opens up the show singing America the Beautiful, and then Triple H welcomes the universe. I love Coco Jones's performance. I was a big fan of her in Let It Shine. Most of you know her from Bel Air. She plays Hillary in the Fresh Prince reboot. I'm sorry that I'm calling it like it is. It's a reboot, not a reimagination, as Will Smith claims. But it is a good show. I would recommend you to see it. It is on Pika, which is fitting why they had Coco Jones of all people be here. So I was very happy to see Coco Jones do music because I was a big fan of her during the Disney Channel days. So very happy for her. Again, happy for Triple H to introduce us to a new era, which people claim to call it the Paul Levesque era. I'm not calling that. I think over time we're gonna finally get an official name for this era. Like when it was the Attitude Era, when nobody called it the Attitude Era. When it was the Ruthless Aggression Era, no one called it that. So, maybe years later we're gonna figure out what we're gonna call this era. People have said it was the Renaissance era. I don't know what it's gonna be called, but anyways, I was very happy with this. Great way to start off the night. But let's talk about the wrestling, and we kick it off with a banger match between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. Honestly, up to this point, Rhea Ripley never had a good match. She had dominant performances, just basically squashing the entire Raw roster every time she defended the belt, which was very rare and different for Rhea Ripley. Like, her presence was there. It's just that she didn't have quality contenders, and it kind of worked because it was all about whether or not at WrestleMania she was going to win it or lose it, because she had dominant performances against Zoe Starks, Raquel Rodriguez, Natalia. The only true good match she had during this run was when she won it last year against Charlotte Flair. So, really, there was like no bigger threats, and except for Nia Jax, who fought her at Elimination Chamber, which was a good main event. And also, Becky Lynch, which was the dream match for everybody. We've only seen them fight once in NXT, and it ended in no contest when Shayna Baszler ruined it. So it was a matter of fact that we got this match. The way we got there, you can argue, was a little bit weird. Becky didn't win the Rumble, which honestly worked out for the next uh, women's title match that we'll about in night two. But the challenges that Becky Lynch had to do, winning the Chamber, fighting Nia Jax, fighting Liv Morgan, and I love that Rhea Ripley's like, I don't get it. I feel like you're just having these matches just to avoid me because deep down you're just gonna lose. So that was a very awesome promo for Rhea Ripley. I like the back and forth. The match itself was really good. Definitely the best title defense match of Rhea Ripley's career, and the best part is that she won. Even though she had to vacate it due to injury, I think it was a solid run for Rhea Ripley, and it led to even bigger things down the road for Rhea with her feud with Liv. But people kind of forget about this match, but it was really good. I highly recommend you to watch it. It's a really good opening match. Great way to kick off the night, and the entrances were top notch. Becky Lynch narrating her book. We had Becky Lynch narrating her book. Then we had the CG book pop out during Becky Lynch's entrance. We had the band sing Brutality. People were making memes out of the dude who sings it because he kind of looks exactly like Rhea Ripley. But it was just the spectacle of it all. Even like from the camera angles when they show off the new challenger and champion, like this felt like a new era. Even the Then Now Forever was new. But everything about the presentation was good, and the match itself was good. So great way to kick off WrestleMania. Six-pack tag team ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. Now this match was huge. It consists 6 tag teams, which means 12 guys in one match. It was the Judgment Day defending their championships against DIY, Awesome Truth, A-Town Down Under, New Day, and New Catch Republic. I thought that this was just balls to the wall crazy action. It is unfortunate some people got lost in the shuffle. New Catch Republic didn't really do much in this match. New Day unfortunately didn't do much, but I do love their outfits with Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed because they were in Philly, so that was awesome. I love that attire. The entrances were alright with Awesome Truth rapping, DIY imitating DX because R-Truth keeps mistaking them for DX, Shawn Michaels and Triple H. I loved it. The big takeaway from this match was that this was going to be the night that they were going to officially separate the tag team belts. One set of belts were going to go to SmackDown, the other set was going to go to Raw, which basically told us a Raw tag team and a SmackDown tag team were going to win, just based on how the titles were set up. And to this day, I still kind of believe that we should have gotten just one set of tag team titles. That way we have one for the women, one for the men. But the men having 2 sets of tag team titles is kind of unfair, if you ask me. Anyways, this doesn't take away how fun and entertaining this match was. R-Truth was the best part of this match. Trying to get a tag in, giving the FU to Finn Balor, pinning him 1, 2, 3. But R-Truth didn't realize that we were supposed to try to grab the tag team belts, not pin people. When we officially figured out what the match was going to be, where one set of tag teams were going to get the belts, we had DIY and Awesome Truth tagging together to take the belts, and then A-Town Down Under takes advantage of this, and then A-Town Down Under become your SmackDown Tag Team Champions. But then don't worry, they get taken out. At the end, they throw Grayson Waller to one of the ladders. Austin Theory just disappears, so they were out of the match, which was fitting. JD McDonough interferes. He gets dumped into a big-ass table. And then eventually R-Truth overcomes his biggest fear of ladders and picks up the Raw Tag Team belts. And this was just balls to the walls crazy. Like I said, I do wish that maybe we took out one of the tag teams because there was just way too much going on. I don't know who I would have taken out. Maybe New Catch Republic, but then there's no SmackDown tag teams really. Um, but yeah, I can't really get mad. This was a very fun, balls to the wall, crazy match, and the Judgment Day move on to bigger and better things. We'll talk about that in night two. Rey Mysterio and Andrade versus Santos Escobar and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Now, I remember when we got to this, it was very clear that we were building up to Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar, but I think they realized that Santos Escobar is not a big of a draw, unfortunately. I'm calling it like it is. So they had the match on SmackDown where Dominic Mysterio randomly interferes because Santos called him. Santos takes advantage, and then it was supposed to be Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, but then he gets taken out. We think it's Santos Escobar. Turns out later it's Carlito, which that led to Carlito of all people joining the Judgment Day. Anyways, Andrade, who Dominic has been trying to recruit up to this point, betrays them, and then it's Rey and Andrade. So Andrade's first ever WrestleMania match is a tag team match with Rey Mysterio. I mean, how big do you have to be to get that? And it was pretty cool. All four Latino wrestlers going at it, having a great tag team match. Well, not a great, but it was a pretty solid match. The interference at the end was a little balls to the walls crazy. The best part was Walking Wild doing that like springboard through the ropes. That was pretty cool. He did it in NXT. It looked cooler in NXT because it was a smaller arena, so it looked like he made it all the way to the entrance ramp. This one, because the stage was bigger, it didn't look as cool, unfortunately. But then the big takeaway, which was the most random thing you can think of for this match, Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson make appearances to help out Dominic and Santos lose and help Rey and Andrade get the victory. It was very random. Two Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, it makes sense for them to represent Philly, but it was definitely the most random thing I thought was gonna happen. But I guess it worked. Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. Oh boy, I think we can all agree that this was the worst match of the show. Now, you're probably wondering, like, oh, people say that WrestleMania 40 is great, but how could it be great when it has Jimmy and Jay fighting? Well, think about this. WrestleMania 17 had APA and Taz versus the Right to Censor. Hands down the worst match of the show. WrestleMania 19 had Taker versus Big Show and Adrian. So, every WrestleMania has to have that match that's like, oh, yeah, this is here. It's unfortunately that it was Jimmy versus Jay because the feud itself was good. Granted, I didn't like Jimmy joining the Bloodline real quick, but in the long run, it does make sense that we finally got Jay and Jimmy fight, because this was gonna solidify Jey Uso officially as a main event star. Jimmy Uso, I thought, was gonna win because if you've seen tradition, every 15 years we get a brother versus brother match. We had Brett and Owen, Jeff and Matt, and now Jimmy and Jay. Up to this point, both of those matches, the Hardys and the Hearts, they both had the heel brother win. So I figured, oh, Jimmy's gonna win, and I was kind of bummed out because Jay didn't really need the victory. But in hindsight, it was like, yeah, you know what? We are going to push Jay. We are going to make him the top player. So he's going to have to beat Jimmy just to finally say that we can move on from this. And Jey Uso can move on to bigger and better things. And Jimmy Uso can still try to revitalize his career as a single star. But then it makes sense because he eventually gets taken out by Solo and the New Bloodline. But I personally thought that this match, even though it was bad, it was a super kick fest. That's all they did. It was super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick. I thought it was a Young Bucks match for a second. I can't say that this match didn't feel right, like, not being here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we needed this match just to finally get the feud. It is unfortunate that the match didn't live up to the hype that we all thought. But then again, Jimmy Uso didn't really wrestle that much leading up to this. It was mainly just Jay. So if you think about it, it should have just been Jey Uso beating the crap out of Jimmy for 5 minutes and then calling it a match, if you think about it. Then we get to a 6-woman tag team match between Damage Control's Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane versus Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair, all coming out looking like X-Men. Really, this was the Jade Cargill showcase match. We already know what Naomi and Bianca Belair can do. We already know what the Kabuki Warriors and Dakota Kai can do. This was just what Jade Cargill can do. And yes, she did end up squashing everybody involved, but it worked for what we were trying to do with Jade Cargill and make her this dominant badass. Eventually, she became a tag team champion with Bianca Belair, and I feel like that is what helped carry the company in the women's tag team division, I should say. And I think now, moving forward, we're going to slowly build Jade Cargill into a single star because she's going to fight Naomi at WrestleMania 41. But for this match, it did its job, so I couldn't really get mad at it, and I was happy with the result at the end. Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, this match had a lot of changes. Because CM Punk got injured, it was supposed to be Drew and Sami and Seth and Punk. But then plans changed. It became Seth and Drew. Sami had nothing to do. I just realized that rhymed. We needed something for Sami Zayn, and why not give him the most dominant champion of all time, Gunther, because, Brock Lesnar left. And then we all thought it was going to be Chad Gable, but even though it wasn't Chad Gable, I was happy with how we managed to work Chad Gable into the story because he was the only one that was close to beating Gunther up to this point. Sami Zayn being the one to beat the ones, him being scared of letting his family down yet again when we get flashbacks to Elimination Chamber 2023 when he couldn't beat Roman Reigns. It was a well-told story, even though it wasn't meant to. Gunther was like, okay, this is just another challenger. But it was like, is Sami going to beat him? And then that entrance was such a huge part of the build. With Sami Zayn just walking out. He shakes Chad Gable's hand. He talks to his family one more time. He says, I'll see you out there. Kevin Owens is waiting for him at the entrance. And then he hugs him. And then we get the match. And it's just top-notch. Sami Zayn giving him all he's got, all the trainings from Chad Gable worked to the advantage. Gunther just being a cocky, arrogant heel, like, oh, this guy's just nothing. He's just like the rest of them. It was a well-told story, and because of it, it was possibly my favorite match of the night, for night one at least. And it was a really well-told story, and the big story heading into this, because Sami Zayn had one more move, and we didn't know what it was. If you were an indie fan, you know exactly what Sami Zayn was talking about or what he was going to work on doing. And he hit it. He did the Brainbuster, which was El Generico's finisher in ROH. He hits the Brainbuster to Gunther. He does 2 haluva kicks. I love Gunther mocking Sami's wife, talking to her from the ringside. Well-told story, and Sami Zayn winning the Intercontinental Championship. Even though he didn't need it, I think it was fitting that it would be Sami to be the one to beat Gunther. Yes, we wanted Chad Gable, but I think hindsight, it does work out in the long run. Plus, Sami Zayn is the bigger star. And then this helped make Chad Gable really push WWE to the edge to be like, hey, I'm going to be a main event star. I need my singles gold. And it ended up becoming one of the greatest runs of Chad Gable's career. So much so that they did not put him at WrestleMania 41. Instead, some guy named El Gran Americano is going to take his spot instead of him. It is unfortunate. I really hope El Gran Americano has a great career in WWE. But I hope Chad Gable gets his moment eventually. But anyways, joking aside, I love this match. Like I said, it was my match of the night for night one, and it was a great end to Gunther's IC title run. He had just classics that unfortunately he's been trying to replicate, but I think that this was peak Gunther. Sami Zayn was a great underdog heel, and I love the story that it told, so I really, really enjoyed this, and I was very happy with the result and the match. Main event time for WrestleMania Night 1, and I still can't believe it that we got to see possibly the biggest built tag team match of all time, that being the Bloodlines Roman Reigns and The Rock versus Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. And boy, did this match have hundreds of layers upon hundreds of layers. You literally had Cody and Seth, who had feuded ever since Cody came back. When Cody was taken out, we never got a proper resolve to that match, but then they teamed up in War Games. Roman Reigns has been a dominant heel for the past 4 years as champion. And then The Rock came back wanting the match that we were all clamoring for, that being, of course, Roman Reigns and The Rock. But by the time we got it, Cody Rhodes was at his peak, and then he won the Royal Rumble, and he gets to pick the champion of his choosing, which in hindsight, I'm like, thank God CM Punk didn't win. This would have completely messed up the plans if you think about it. But anyways, The Rock goes on a tear and gets angry, and turning him into the final boss, the heel, the head creative, the president of TKO, I believe. He was just so good as this heel, and him calling out Cody Rhodes a crybaby bitch, called Seth Rollins a joking clown emoji. He did a lot. The Rock did amazing around this time. His promos on Instagram were great. Roman Reigns was kind of like an afterthought, but after night 2, he does not become an afterthought. And there was this whole story of whether or not The Rock was going to betray Roman or Seth Rollins was going to betray Cody Rhodes. And then the match happens, and it's just very fun and entertaining to watch. It is a long match. It is the second longest match in WrestleMania history behind Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, the Iron Man match. It is fun. I love them fighting in the crowd. I love when Rock gets the hot tag and people are cheering for him. But then it became a tornado tag team match when The Rock said, hey, you disqualify me, you count me out, you're fired. Right when you think that Cody was going to get the victory, we pull out that Mama Rhodes belt. We get Mama Rhodes involved. She's saying this is BS. I forgot to talk about this part. There's just so much that went down. But Roman Reigns was about to spear Cody, but then Seth pushes him to the side, and then Roman accidentally spears The Rock, selling it, foreshadowing a future match between the two men, which I hope we get eventually. We're not getting it this year. Maybe 42 will finally be the year we get that match. But just the story there was just awesome. But like I said, the double pedigree and then the double pinfall, which was a false claim. I wish that was the end, but it wasn't. It just kept going. So really, even though it was a long match and the crowd was dead because they were freezing, I really enjoyed the match. And then I loved the final blow of hitting the rock bottom. And then we have, of course, the stipulation where the winner gets to pick the stipulation of night 2's main event. If Cody and Seth wins, then the match is Bloodline free, but if not, it's Bloodline rules. And honestly, Rock and Roman winning was the best thing they could have done, because now that tells you the stakes are going to be even bigger for Cody. Can he beat the odds and win at WrestleMania? Can he finish the story? So that made it more epic for me, and I really enjoyed it. Let's just talk about night 2, because that is where the real meat cooks. We had night 2 with War of Treaty singing America the Beautiful, and then Stephanie McMahon comes out to welcome everybody to the Paul Levesque era and WWE WrestleMania. This time it was a lot warmer for people. Thankfully, the weather changed for the better, because the crowd was kind of dead for night 1. So WrestleMania night 2, they needed to pick it up, and man, did they ever. War of Treaty, good job. I was very happy with their performance. And we kick off the night with a World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Great entrance of Seth Rollins. I'm shocked that he was able to manage to have 2 matches, even though he needed leg surgery, back surgery. He's just crippled up to this point. But Seth Rollins was the MVP of WrestleMania 40, if he really was. Like, I mean, he helped make the main event a possibility with how it ended. We'll get to that when we get to it. But only wish that The Rock would have announced, like, as head runner of TKO, I am going to make an announcement here. Seth Rollins will open the night to avoid him trying to interfere in the Bloodline rules match. Something like that. Because that would have been really cool to see, like, The Rock kind of use his power against Seth Rollins just to screw him over. But I mean, they opened the show fine, but I was wondering why this match was so early, and that it makes sense in the long run why, because of how everything else was structured. Plus, the match itself was just a finisher fest, and it actually worked. Like, literally, it starts with Drew McIntyre hitting the Claymore 1-2 kick out because Seth Rollins is a strong champion. Seth Rollins is trying to throw everything at Drew McIntyre just so he can finish the match, so he can just rest up because he doesn't want to lose the belt. That was the best way they could have told this story. But Drew McIntyre being the arrogant heel, Drew McIntyre in 2024 was possibly my favorite year of Drew McIntyre. Him trolling everybody. He gets his wife's phone. I think it's his phone, but his wife was holding it. He tweets bored at work. Keeps looking at CM Punk, who was on commentary, which plays a big role at the end of this match. And it just wasn't enough because even though Seth Rollins is trying his best to retain the championship, Drew McIntyre overcomes the odds. He finally wins a world title at WrestleMania in front of a crowd. And that is just beautiful to see Drew McIntyre get his moment. Seth Rollins breaks kayfabe, starts crying, and tells Drew that he deserved it. And just when you think kayfabe is dead, Drew McIntyre goes up to CM Punk, is mocking him. He's like, I want to frame this. He gives CM Punk the suck it. CM Punk loses it. He dumps Drew McIntyre, who's on the announce table. He takes off his cast. He beats up Drew McIntyre. He throws in a kiss to Drew McIntyre's wife. And just when you think it is over, Damian Priest comes out with the Money in a Bank briefcase, knocks out Drew McIntyre, almost throws the briefcase into the crowd, unfortunately. But then he grabs the briefcase, takes it inside, he cashes in. We get it. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. One choke slam to Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest is your new World Heavyweight Champion. This, I liked it. You can say what you will about Damian Priest as World Champion. I think Damian Priest is more ready than ever, given where his character is at now. But this moment was really cool. I love that shot of the Judgment Day coming from the back, because this was really going to be the last time we see the OG Judgment Day, because later on Rhea gets injured, Damian Priest slowly becomes a babyface, and then we get a brand new version of Judgment Day, which is debatably good or bad depending on how you look at it. So I was really happy with this, and it was like a moment. The second ever cash in at WrestleMania, the first one being with Seth in the heist of the century. So it was a matter of time before we get another cash in at WrestleMania. Then we get a match that people hated, but I thought it was pure fun and entertaining. It was the Pride versus the Final Testament. Best part about it was Snoop Dogg on commentary. Man, he was just a natural. He could have been on commentary for the rest of the night and I would have been happy. He's like, what is that? It's Bobby Lashley with the picnic table. Like, he's like doing Yogi Berra references. He's very funny. He's like, man, Bobby Lashley, that's a ripped dude. He's talking about it. And this was just kind of like their way of saying, like, okay, we need to put Bobby Lashley because we didn't do it last year. Street Profits are not going to be in the ladder match, and we need to finally cap off this story. We built it for so long. We need to wrap it up at WrestleMania. And honestly, if this was a regular six-man tag team match, I would have hated it. But they were smart enough to make it a street fight. Bubba Ray attacking Karrion Kross. It was just fun. There was an unfortunate botch where they put Karrion Kross on a table. It breaks early, so they have to get another table that's more stiff. Montez Ford gives the dive. I love when Street Profits do the wazab. They get the pin and the Pride wins. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits get the WrestleMania moment, and I'm very happy about this. WWE Hall of Fame class of 2024. We had Muhammad Ali, who's unfortunately no longer with us. I kind of wish that Muhammad Ali got inducted way earlier. Muhammad Ali was one of the greatest. Hell no, he was the greatest boxer of all time. Let's not kid ourselves. U.S. Express, it was great to see them have their moment, Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda. It is unfortunate because it gets overshadowed because Bray Wyatt had passed the year prior, so it was really hard to watch that speech. I am happy that the U.S. Express do get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Bull Nakano, one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time, one of the greatest female characters of all time. I was very happy that we finally got Bull Nakano in the WWE Hall of Fame. Thunderbolt Patterson had one of the most interesting speeches of all time. But he did invent the promo, so it was very awesome for Thunderbolt Patterson to get this moment. Leah Maivia, who I'm shocked didn't get the Warrior Award. I think they were retiring that. The Warrior Award is done. I think they have had enough with the backlash, so I think that Warrior Award is long and buried. Same with the Legacy Awards. But then the headliner, Paul Heyman, who was smart enough to open the Hall of Fame, you damn right I fucking deserve it. Best line of the night, one of the greatest speeches of all time, one of my favorite speeches of all time, because literally Paul Heyman said some real shit. He talks about how cancel culture works. He's just going off talking about ECW, sharing his love for the business and the company, saying how like they try to cancel me when ECW died, but then I brought Brock Lesnar. Then I aligned myself with CM Punk. Now I am the wise man. It was just great speech and a fine class, a very good class. Definitely one of my favorite classes, if I'm being quite honest. So kudos for the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2024. AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Yeah. And this was a really good match. This was a follow-up to the Fatal 4-Way at the Royal Rumble. AJ getting jealous of LA Knight getting all the spotlight and them just brawling back and forth. They had a brawl in AJ Styles' home. It was great work for both men. But when we got to the match, I was thinking to myself, is this going to be a generally good match? Because LA Knight was a good wrestler, but he wasn't a great wrestler. Let's be honest. He was barely killing it in the ring. He was more famous for his in-ring promo work and him just being funny and entertaining. That match with Roman Reigns was not the best. But when we got to this match, boy oh boy, did this deliver, and this showed us that LA Knight was a workhorse. So much so that he became the U.S. champion and had some of the greatest matches in his entire career. This match was very good. The entrance theme for AJ Styles was Take It or Leave It, but I thought it was great for the character that AJ was trying to be, so I couldn't really fault it, and I really enjoyed this match. It was really good, and it showcased LA Knight as a good wrestling talent. That spot in the floor where they do a suplex, it was crazy, but LA Knight does get his moment. He gets a good match with AJ Styles, possibly the best worker that you can have up to this point. And LA Knight gets his WrestleMania match and his WrestleMania moment, so I'm very happy for that. Then we get a triple threat match for the United States Championship. It was Logan Paul versus Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And boy, oh boy, when I tell you, this was by far the best United States Championship match at WrestleMania. There's not that many options. I'm being real. If you think about it, Big Show and Cena, Rusev and Cena, Owens and Jericho, good matches, but let's be honest, they're not as good as this. And by God, this was just so entertaining. And the entrance with Logan Paul and the Prime drink, it looks like it's going to shoot Prime, but it just teases the fireworks. We have a guy in a Prime bottle. We thought it was KSI again. Thankfully, it wasn't, because we had one of the best moments in the match. We'll get to it when we get to it. Kevin Owens makes his entrance, and when Sami Zayn comes out, says, "I won last night, now it's your turn." I thought for a second Kevin Owens was going to win, but then I thought about it. I think they're really pushing heavy on Logan Paul being a long running U.S. champion. Granted, we didn't know that he was only going to defend it this one other time. Anyways, we have Kevin Owens come out in a golf cart mocking the Prime truck. Then when Randy Orton makes his entrance, Kevin Owens drives back and tells Randy, "Let's go." Then we get the match. It starts as a 2-on-1 handicap match, but once they realize that they have to fight Randy and Kevin, they fight. And they do great moves. The pop-up powerbomb and reverse into the RKO. There was double DDTs. There was a sick spot with Logan Paul where he takes a frog splash to Randy Orton and then he rolls up and knocks out Kevin Owens. That was a sick spot. But for me, the OG spot will always be I Show Speed, removing the Prime Mask and pushing Randy Orton. Randy Orton beats the crap out of KSI, barks at him, and RKOs him to an announce table. That was just pure gold and entertainment. And then, as the match continues, we just have a killer match with both men. We have a killer match continuing with all three men. Eventually, we think that Randy was going to get the victory. Like, wow, they really did a good job of not making you think who was going to win. It's like, at any point, you're like, oh, maybe Kevin could win, maybe Randy could win, maybe Logan could win. So they did a good job at that. I'm really shocked. But the spot, of course, Logan Paul hits the frog splash on Kevin Owens, pins him 1, 2, 3, and Logan Paul unfortunately retains. But it does lead to one of the best runs of LA Knight's career. So I can't really fault it for that. Women's Championship match. Io Sky versus Bayley. Bayley had won the Royal Rumble. We thought she was going to challenge Rhea Ripley. Well, at least the Damage Control girls thought that. But we all knew that Bayley was eventually going to turn on Io and they were going to fight. And I'm shocked because Bayley was doing such a great work as a heel. So much so that she ended up becoming the babyface and Io Sky became the heel. But it worked out in the long run because the story was great of how Io Sky has shown her dominance without Bayley, and Bayley was the one that was really holding Damage Control down, and then Bayley wanted to prove the naysayers wrong. They had a good brawl. There was a part where they go on set of a commercial in Japan. They brawl. It was just great. The only thing that sucked was that Bayley had a shitty entrance theme song that we got here. Her trying to be an empress. That didn't work for me. She's from San Jose. Why would she be an empress? It made no sense. The match itself was top notch. I knew this was going to be the best match of the night as far as women go. Granted, this is the only women's match we got at WrestleMania Night 2, but the best one of the weekend, if I'm making sense. We have good reversals. There's a part where Bayley hits a DDT, but then Io reverses it into a flip, does a dive to Bayley. The in-ring chemistry was just uncanny. I do wish that we had more matches with these girls, but you know what? I'm happy with what we got. I can't be complaining too much. But the Bayley to belly to the outside, I thought that the Bayley to belly was going to end the match, like, because they were building up to like Bayley being a babyface. I didn't want Hugger Bayley, but I definitely wanted her to do the Bayley to belly, be the one that ends it. Even if it's a top rope Bayley to belly, I would have been happy with, but the way it ended, it was fine with the DDT. And yeah, I was very happy with this match. It was a great moment for Bayley. She finally got a singles match at WrestleMania. She's the only 4 horsewoman to never main event a WrestleMania. But it's okay. I'm happy with what the 4 horsewomen have done. I think it's time to move away from the 4 horsewomen and we move on to newer and bigger things for the women's division. We already have new girls coming in the works with Roxanne Perez, Gulia, Stephanie Vaquero. Then we have Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Naomi. We have a talent of girls. Io Sky, who's here. Maybe Dakota Kai, Lyra Valkyria get their moments in the future. But man, I am ready for a new set of women to take over. I'm happy that at WrestleMania we had Bayley get her moment. And if I'm being honest, this could have been the farewell to the 4 horsewomen. Unfortunately, all of them were in different parts of their career. Sasha Banks went to AEW. Charlotte was injured. And Becky had just lost to Rhea the following night. So, for this was my goodbye to the 4 horsewomen. I think we were ready to move away from the 4 horsewomen and move on to different and better things. And I'm happy that Bayley at least got her moment one last time before we move past them. Main event time. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship under Bloodline rules. And we didn't know what Bloodline rules was. We got a preview between Solo and Seth, but it ended in a no contest. We finally got to know what this was. And before we even talk about the match, that video package of Imagine Dragons' Eyes Closed was great. It was a callback to Monster by Imagine Dragons 10 years ago with Daniel Bryan. I was happy that we got this moment. I was happy that we got this match. The video package sold it. The story was built up for a whole year since Cody lost to Roman Reigns. And then just when we were this close to losing it, the "We Want Cody" chant started. We were finally getting a new top guy in the company that everybody liked. Triple H was the correct head of creative, and it was just amazing. And because of it, this was hands down one of the greatest main events in WrestleMania history. Cody Rhodes' entrance. The previous year, Brandy Rhodes is on ringside with her family. This time, Cody and Brandy walk out together, which is awesome. Roman Reigns with a whole orchestra, because this was going to be the finale of his reign. It was still surreal that, like, wow, we're really going to end Roman Reigns' title run right here. And the match itself was great. First, they were building it up as a regular one-on-one match with them fighting in the crowd, doing suplexes to each other. They trade each other's finishers off. Roman Reigns hits a crossroads. He's like, man, that put nobody down. Cody Rhodes hits the spear. It was just great in-ring chemistry with the two. So before we have the whole craziness, we already have a good match. But how do we turn this great match into a phenomenal, outstanding match? We have a callback to the triple crossroads. Jimmy Uso interferes. Jey Uso comes for the save. And the Usos fight in the entrance ramp, only for Jey Uso to spear Jimmy onto a stack of tables that is down the entrance ramp. It was a crazy spot. Imagine if they missed. That would have been so scary to witness live. The match continues. Cody Rhodes tries to hit the 3 crossroads again, but this time Solo Sikoa interferes. They take forever for John Cena to come out, but eventually he does. Attitude adjustment to Roman Reigns. Attitude adjustment to Solo Sikoa. The Rock, the final boss, comes out, and we have that stare down of The Rock and John Cena. A callback to 2012 and 2013. John Cena hits the "You Can't See Me" rock bottom to John Cena. He kicks him out of the ring. And just when you think things couldn't have gotten crazier, we hear the Shield's theme song. I'm thinking Dean Ambrose came back for one night. Tony Khan is like, oh, are you really going to do that? Nope. We get Seth Rollins in Shield gear get attacked by Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes is still knocked down. He gets beat up with the Mama Rhodes belt. We see Seth and Cody on the floor. A callback to Night 1's main event. We hear Undertaker's bell. Undertaker's in the ring. Choke slams to The Rock. And then he disappears. I thought that Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to come out. But then again, it makes no sense for Stone Cold to run out, give The Rock the stunner, and then walk back out. So having Undertaker be here, it makes a little bit more sense. Plus, he's more equivalent to WrestleMania. Austin is more equivalent to his own thing. And plus, there is rumors going on that WrestleMania 41, we will get Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hopefully we do. But Undertaker coming out was random but awesome at the same time. But the best part is how this match ended. Roman Reigns has the option of hitting either Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins with a chair. A 10-year callback to when Seth Rollins broke up the Shield. Roman gets his 10-year-long revenge, hitting Seth Rollins with the chair. But then it backfired because Cody Rhodes takes advantage of the situation. Triple crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Finish the story. The best call of Michael's career. As Samantha Irving announces Cody Rhodes as the winner, crying. It was just so poetic, and it was so awesome because everybody was following Cody Rhodes through this journey. He finished his story being the first man in the Rhodes family to win the WWE Championship. Unfortunately, he couldn't give it to his dad, but he gives it to his mom. He lets her hold the belt. We have LA Knight, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, John Cena, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, all of them there to salute Cody Rhodes as the face of this new era. Cody Rhodes asked for Bruce Prichard and Triple H to come out. They all celebrated. There is a video of Roman Reigns crying and Paul Heyman hugging him in the back, which is them breaking kayfabe because we all thought Roman Reigns was going to retire after this, but no, he keeps going, and hopefully eventually we get Rock and Roman. But dude, this was awesome. I love this. And because of it, the matches were great. The
Moments were awesome. But for me, this is why it is my favorite WrestleMania, because I got to sit through the build. I got to see Cody Rhodes struggle and finishing his story. I got to see Gunther have this dominant reign and ending it here. I got to see the cash in build up. Drew McIntyre's run, injuring CM Punk. It was great. The women had great stories to tell here. Everything about it was just awesome. The in ring was great. The moments were there. I loved it. Even though Jimmy and Jay was a stinker, it felt important for this WrestleMania to have that match. Even though it sucked, but whatever. This is an A plus. My favorite WrestleMania of all time. I can't imagine where we would be without this. And Triple H did a phenomenal job of getting us invested. Hopefully he continues doing amazing work, and hopefully WrestleMania 41 pays off, because the build-up has been a mixed match. I'll talk about it when I review WrestleMania 41. But anyways, thank you all for joining me in this journey of reviewing every single WrestleMania. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you subscribe, and I hope you just had fun following me through all of these WrestleMania. So thank you everybody yet again, and I'll see you all in the future. Thank you.